A lot of times primary day, a big yawn, but not today in New Jersey. Garden State voters finally getting their say in the presidential race, but the real headlines certainly are expected to be from a pair of congressional primaries. And Andrew, tell us not only why we ought to be watching, but why the country's watching New Jersey tonight.
Well, you've got a classic Democrat on Democrat primary battle. We're going to get to that in just a second, Rich. Let's start with New Jersey's 10th congressional district. Two primary contests tonight to replace longtime Congressman Donald Payne, who passed away back in March. One is a special election to complete Payne's term, the other to hold the seat through January 2015. His son, Donald Payne Jr., the president of the Newark City Council, is the favorite in both races. The main competition likely to come from State Senator Nia Gill and Newark City Councilman Ron Rice. But the primetime battle royale will happen in the new 9th congressional district. That's a mashup district caused by redistricting, merging portions of Bergen, Hudson, and Passaic counties, and merging the districts of two long-serving Democrats who were both first elected on the same day back in 1996. Incumbent Steve Rothman scoring off against incumbent Bill Pascrell in a race that promises to be very, very, very close. Both men bringing their backers and ground games and teams into the race, and both touting some big-name support. Congressman Rothman has the backing of President Obama. He came out early supporting then Senator Obama in the 2008 campaign. The president returning the favor by sending out his surrogate Axelrod for this primary. Congressman Pascrell brings the backing of former President Bill Clinton. Pascrell backed Hillary Clinton in 2008. Now it's the former president throwing his weight behind Pascrell. The two congressmen have been longtime colleagues and until recently, at least, considered themselves friends. Though that friendship was difficult to see as the two men engaged at a debate on May 7th, hosted by RFL, FiOS 1 News, New Jersey, and RFL.
He, for the most part, has been a loyal Democrat when it suits his purpose.
He's far more conservative than most Democrats in our district. He is not a progressive.
I don't see him out there in the tough fights, talking on the floor, arguing the issues.
When you go to Washington, cave in to the 1%. That's not being a fighter.
If you can't fight them in New Jersey, how are you going to fight them down in Washington? That's the question.
Everybody can feel the love, you know?
FiOS 1 is going to have complete coverage, team coverage, in fact, tonight of this race. Let us start with the Rothman campaign, and covering the Rothman campaign is FiOS 1's Samantha Liebman. She joins us live from Rothman HQ in Englewood, New Jersey. Samantha?
Well, Andrew, actually, we're here in Fort Lee, New Jersey, where, as you can see behind me, not much is happening. But in a couple hours, Congressman Rothman could be giving his concession speech or a victory speech. Now, many have criticized Congressman Rothman for even starting this primary in the first place. Many Democrats said that he should have run against Congressman Garrett in the 5th district after his town Fairlawn was thrown into the Republican-leaning district. However, Rothman chose to fight for his seat that's currently in the 9th district and moved to his hometown of Englewood. Congressman Steve Rothman grew up in Englewood and served as mayor in the 1980s. However, he has been criticized for moving back to his hometown to challenge a man he once called a friend, Bill Pascrell.
I was unhappy that they decided to put my friend and colleague Bill into the 9th. Bill's always represented the 8th and has never actually lived in Bergen or Hudson counties. But those things happen in redistricting every 10 years, and now the voters have to make a choice. Even though he just moved back to Englewood a few months ago, voters we spoke with said they felt like he never left.
Congressman Steve Rothman. He's from Englewood, and so that's why I voted today.
You're voting for Congressman Rothman?
Yes.
Why?
Because he's good for Englewood.
Okay, great.
And he's done a lot for Bergen County.
And many experts say Rothman does have an advantage in this race because a majority of his current district is in the newly redrawn 9th district. And Rothman has represented the 9th District of New Jersey for 16 years, but it's been a very bitter primary battle, and it could be a very close race tonight. That's the latest here in Fort Lee at Rothman headquarters. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Samantha, thank you very much. For the other half of this race now, let's go live to Paterson, New Jersey, where FiOS 1's Christy Duffy will be manning our coverage. Christy, what's the scene there?
Well, Andrew, the scene so far is a bit slow, but of course this party is not set to start till about 7:30 here at Congressman Bill Pascrell's victory party at the Passaic County College in Patterson. Let me give you a look behind me, though, about what we do have. You could see the stage is set up and the podium just behind me and all the chairs ready and waiting for Congressman Pascrell when he arrives. Now, his staff says at this hour he is home relaxing with his family, eating dinner, and of course he'll be watching closely as the numbers roll in. And depending on those results, it is tough to say at this time when we'll see the congressman take to that podium just behind me. Of course, he did vote very early this morning with his wife about 4 minutes down the road from where we are now at a local school. And he did stop and reflect on this months-long campaign once he came out from the voting booth.
This is an election that could have been avoided. A lot of money could have been saved.
Congressman Bill Pascrell voting first thing Tuesday morning, telling FiOS 1 News he's disappointed in some of the tactics used by his opponent. In particular, Rothman moving from the 5th to the 9th district to face him rather than go up against Republican Scott Garrett. But what he's called pathetic was Rothman's effort to impound 2,000 absentee ballots.
To try to incorporate or manufacture some reason why the vote should not be counted is worse than Jim Crow.
Protesters out in Patterson Monday night say the Rothman team is trying to block votes out of the city, while the Rothman team has responded that they are seeing irregularities on absentee voting ballots. A judge first ruled the Rothman team could inspect the ballots, but then decided those votes would be counted on Tuesday.
What they're doing is they're slowing up the process. You know, they're trying to find a way to pick through these ballots to basically knock some of them off, to try to suppress the vote here in Patterson. That's their main goal here. They know that Patterson is our base. And once again, it's unfortunate. This is a tactic that we see from Republicans usually, not Democrats.
And the Pascrell team telling me just moments ago that this really has been an uphill battle for them ever since they found out that their opponent, Congressman Rothman, would be stepping into this race. The numbers and the space in the new 9th district here in New Jersey really stacked against Congressman Pascrell in this race, but they say that they didn't stoop into the gutter throughout the campaign, and they feel that they really gained some real momentum over the course of the past month. They registered over 10,000 new voters in New Jersey for this race, and they also had the high point of their campaign, you might say, the endorsement of President Bill Clinton. So that really sums up the months-long campaign. Live here from the Pascrell Party headquarters in Patterson. Christy Duffy, back to you, Andrew.
All right, Christy, thank you very much. And Rich, polling has been hard to come by in this race. We've seen internal polls that have the two candidates separated by less than a point. Should be a very exciting night on FiOS 1 News New Jersey.
And if they were ever friends, that's a thing of the past. This got ugly.
You'll hear them be friendly again to each other in the concession and victory speeches. Awkwardly.
Yeah, exactly. As my kid would say, awkward.